Okay, let me see if I can go through these. So number 3 you missed. Whoops, that's not very good pen. Number 3 you missed, and it was 98x squared over 2 inside the radical. So you can simplify inside the radical first, or you can simplify them separately. Like you can simplify the 98 over 2 and then go from there, or you can break the 98 down. So it looks like you started to break the 98 down, but then you kind of got stuck. So let me see if I can do it that way. So 98 is the square root of 49 times the square root of 2. And actually you did good on that one. I think this is how you did it. You kind of skipped steps, so I'm just assuming that's what you were thinking. And then the square root of x squared. Then on the bottom you have the square root of 2. So these cancel out, and it looks like you simplified this and you got a 7, which is right. But then here you took an x out and left one in. So the square root of x squared looks like this, and the square root of x squared is just plain old x. So it should have been 7x. What you had was 7x, and then you had another square root of x. So a squared, let me see if I can change colors here. A squared and a square root cancel themselves out. So every time you have the square root of something that has two things in it, one of them comes out. So that's why it's just 7x. So that was on number 3. Then on, it looks like you missed number 5. And on number 5, let me go back to a pen. Give me a second to scroll down to your number 5. I think you simplified inside of it first, which was fine. So this is what number 5 looked like. AB to the 5th over 8a to the 4th b squared. And it looks like you simplified this part to 1/2, which was just fine. Okay, so I'm going to do this. But it's still inside the radical, because all you did was simplify inside the radical. You didn't take the square root of anything. And where yours went wrong is that you simplified that and then took the square root off. So simplifying inside and taking the square root of something are two different things. So you should still have that inside the radical. Then, again, you don't show all your work, so it's hard to understand what you're thinking. But it looks like maybe your strategy is to take the exponents and subtract them, or think of it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over 2b's, and then they cancel, because you got b to the 3rd, which was good. Okay, but again, it's still inside the radical. And then your a's, for some reason you said a to the 5th. If you have 1a as a numerator and 4 a's as denominators, then one is going to cancel, one from the numerator is going to cancel with one from the denominator and leave a cubed. Okay, so now if I rewrite your answer down here, now you should have 1/2 b cubed a over a cubed. And so you still have the radical. So if you think about that, the 1/2 is not going to do anything because there's nothing you can break that down to. But the b cubed is the same as saying b squared times b. And you know that the square root of b squared is just b. So this would become 1b on the outside, and there'd be still a b left on inside the radical. Same thing would happen with the a cubed. You would have 1a on the outside and 1a on the inside of the radical. So your final answer would be a b on the outside, a square root b on the inside, over a 2 with an a on the outside and a square root of a on the inside. So that's where that would be your final answer. Why is it a squared? Oh, I left mine with a radical of 2 at the bottom, but you didn't have to. So this answer will be fine for this class because they don't care which form you have it in. So that would be okay. Number 6. It was 32 over x to the fourth inside the radical. And again, you just wrote your answer, so I'm not totally sure where you're at. Be really careful with that, because on the final they won't give you any points at all, even if it's right. But it looks like you simplified the x to the fourth to the square root of x to the fourth to an x squared, which was fine. Except that was a denominator. So let me separate this out for a second. 32 and 32 can break down. So I'm going to separate this out. And it looks like you knew that the square root of x to the fourth was x squared, and that's fine. But it's a denominator, not a whole number, so it can't be next to it. Then the square root of 32 can still break down more. You can either do it in your calculator or you can do it by hand. But the square root of 32 is 4 times 4 times 2. Or you can think of it as 16 times 2. And the square root of 4 times 4 is 4. And so your final answer would look like that. And then I think number 10, you had, let me scroll down to your number 10. Oh, you did good on number 10, you just didn't write no solution. You wrote x equal 1, but 1 didn't end up working and you knew that. And so then you just want to put no solution.